Good.
Yeah, how are we looking for tonight then, Dan?
Well, another first for PPI Stoke at Full Green Hall. 30 odd people expecting something or anything. Who knows what's going to happen? One thing we do know, we're looking forward to the night.
Thanks very much, Dan.
The east end of the house before the extension was put on the side. It's called the big hall, and I suppose it was. This would have been the gathering place. This would have been the main dining room. And you think about these grand dinners that they used to put on in those, Elizabethan times, and I suppose right up to the Victorian times. How modest this place is, though. How sort of simple. And quite clearly, because it was a sort of out-of-the-way place, a lonely place, the only visitors they would be getting are neighbours from the nearby farms. Maybe from the Brown Edge Way, although Brown Edge didn't exist then, but from that area, from Leek and from Newcastle. Again, if you look at the location, this was the main road. You will be used to travelling these days on the A53, which is the main road that goes from Newcastle to Leek and then onto Macclesfield that way. But this was the original road before the Leek New Road was built. So you'd leave Newcastle and you'd come up through Basford and then you'd drop down into what we know as Etruria and climb the bank into Elder Road along where we do meet the new A53, the new Leek New Road. But then there's Sandbach Road where Moorcroft is. And that was the old road, and if you follow that past the colliery that used to be Sneed Colliery, into Smallthorne, then over the bank, straight down here, this Smallthorne Full Green Road was then called Leek Road, and then we were into this Full Green area. Then it climbed up into Norton, then on into Norton Green, and made its way in through the back roads of Endon. Before it then started its climb up into Leek and then dropping down into Leek. You know, it took a long time. And these remote places were probably, sort of welcome places. It did actually gather a pace. Across the road is a place called Ford Green Hall, which is another Georgian building, a three-storey. Actually, it's got three-storey and an attic building, which is actually the home of the local MP, Joan Wally. Just across the road. And that was built as a coaching house. So at some stage, when coaching became sort of vogue in the 1820s, there would be a coach that would run this way. Remarkable, I should have thought, up and down. It must have taken ages. But anyway, that is the history of this particular road. Very lonely, very out of the way. Really does, set the scene, doesn't it?
Well, very much this farmhouse.
Yes.
This is the only one here. What about why? I'm just intrigued. In the middle of Smallthorne, you've got a farmhouse, and there's none others to be seen anywhere else. How come this place survived?
Well, again, they were, it developed as yeoman landowners, so they were sort of made to farm. They would grow. It was a crop-growing area, but there would be little crofts that were rented off. Maybe from this family, maybe for other families in any case. So they weren't in that sense. They would have nothing to do, but they were, as yeomen, they were a cut above, if you like, than the normal cottages. So they wouldn't be attractive, but there's some good evidence in the big book about it.
Try to find some positive proof of spirit, of ghosts or whatever you want to call them. And I think that's what we're going to be here for tonight, doing lots of different experiments. We do use a couple of Ouija boards if anybody is interested in doing them. Some people don't like them, and that's fine, you don't have to use them. But I do assure you that I am a fully qualified, trained medium, and that if you're using them where somebody knows what they're doing, then you're perfectly safe. Okay? So, a new thing I wanted to do as well tonight.
Oh, right, okay. Here we go. What's all this?
Now, some of our regulars might be up for this, or even someone new. So this is the new thing tonight, okay? This is the fear room, all right? So we've decided It's just to try and get some sensations, I don't know, when you're in the dark, alone, or just a couple of you, and you're trying to pick things up. You might get something if you're in what we call this fear room. It's just our little name for it. So if anybody would like to go in a place, I knew YouTube is straight up for it, these pair.
Can I just stop?
Up for anything.
It isn't actually a room, it's the water tower outside.
That's fine, please, it's not too big. So if anybody's up for that, you can sort of take it in turns, whoever wants to go and...
We'll lock you in.
And I'll tell you, I'll tell you how to, if you don't know how to sort of try and bring spirit towards you or whatever, I will explain that to you before you go in there, so you've got the best chance of getting some kind of things happening for you.
There's a lot of people here that the first time it's a ghost hunt for them.
Right.
What do they expect?
Well, we've had some quite good experiences. I don't know if you've been on the PPI website, but the photographs and some of the things we've had have been incredible. But the last one we did, I actually stood there in amazement myself after doing this for 30 years and watched the door handle go down on its own like that and back up right in front of our eyes, and it was like, oh my God, and it was so strong. And then there was a lot of noises, knockings, banging, all that kind of thing.
Courtroom number 1 at the Hanley Temple.
So expect cold, expect heat, because spirits sometimes come with heat, okay? I suggest if you've got phone, cameras, all that, take pictures, because this is where you get, your different anomalies. And we got a fantastic face last time we were at the courtroom. Like I say, there's a lot of way that spirit can communicate. So, keep your ears open, listen to things, sensing as well how you feel. If you walk into somewhere and you feel something, say, and then we can all talk and we can all...
Otherwise I think, you feel that, I'm feeling, I'm feeling it actually,
Yeah,
so
it's your ghost, and you communicate with us, and then we can explain things, and we can talk about, if anybody else is sensing the same thing as you. So you might hear noises, you might see orbs going past, you might, I don't know, you could see a full apparition, please, I don't know. But you should get sensations and all that kind of thing. All I ask you to do is, I know that everyone here, some people can be quite sort of an open skeptic, and that's fine, but just make sure you're open, don't close your mind to the possibility that we do exist after the change called death, because we do. I can honestly say I have seen in my lifetime 4 full apparitions, and that's in 30 years. But I have seen them.
Just one thing on that, Chris and everybody, is that if you do actually feel, you feel a bit queasy, or you're really feeling that, something sort of grab hold of Chrissy, myself, or Dan, don't feel embarrassed about it. Just come and see us, all right?
And while you're on that point, please, nobody out there go, because if someone is quite intent on seeing something and somebody's acting a fool, it's not on. You haven't paid for that at all, have you? So let's all be quite serious about it and enjoy the night.
And if you've got any questions at all, I mean, I've got all the answers, but I've got a lot of them after doing it for such a long time.
Ouija board.
Please ask me.
We've done the Ouija board a lot of times.
We have, yeah.
And one of the questions I'm sure the new people will be asking is it dangerous?
Well, like I said, yeah, it can be in the wrong hands. It is not a party game. It's not to play with. It was used a lot in the Victorian times to communicate with spirit.
You felt something on?
They're touching you already.
Sorry, there's another question. What sort of dangers are there with it? I mean, at the end.
Right. Yeah, I understand where you're going.
Yeah. Well, at least I think I've seen ghosts.
Mainly.
But I've never been hurt by a ghost. I've never been hurt by a ghost. What's the likelihood that I will ever be hurt by a ghost?
Right. It's not physical, okay. Although I have known of some ghosts that can muster up enough energy to push people.
Yes.
The only thing is when you use a Ouija board, if you're using it in the wrong way, you are bringing in entities from what we call the lower planes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's like leaving your front door open and saying, anybody
Please
come in. You don't know who's coming in.
Yeah.
So you've got to have it under control, situation where you're all protected. If you're not protected, then I'm not saying they can physically hurt you, but they can mess with your mind. Because communication from spirit is all done by thought and all done by mind.
Yeah.
And so they can put thoughts into your mind. They can mess your head up, basically. And you don't want that.
Yeah. But I'm saying that just to reiterate what Pete said. If everyone's feeling poorly, they think, oh, just come to us, we'll take you out and sort of, get you a cup of tea and
Yeah.
Calm me down, basically.
calm you down.
If you're really open, you see, and if you're open to spirit, you might sense things a bit stronger than other people. So, you know, it can affect you a little bit. So like Den says, just come to us and we'll help you if you're feeling a bit overwrought by anything.
No, you walked in here now. I've seen you doing a bit of a drawing there.
I have, yes. Now I've picked up 2 names, and everybody's going to say, "Oh, they're really common names." I'm sorry they are, but I picked them up. So what else can I do, right? So I picked up the name here of Elizabeth. Okay, and I know it's a common name, but it kept coming to me very strongly, and also the name of John, which is another common name, but they're the names that were given to me. Okay, and then I am a psychic artist, so I do the odd sketch. And this is a sketch of a lady that I feel is here. Now, I'm not feeling her from Elizabethan times. I'm feeling her more from like the 1800s. So this is who I'm hoping we're going to come across tonight, as well as many other spirits that are here, hopefully.
Chris, can you just show me anything?
Sorry. Okay.
And then when the city brought it over, they changed it again. Some of the activity that I experienced, some of the rooms would seem to be blocked off, that we're not allowed to go in. So whether we'll still get that force or not. This, you asked me about this.
Yeah. No, actually, it's in the other room. It's in the other room.
There's nothing original here other than the structure. Everything else was brought in. So, although I did become a bit of an expert on all furniture, there is nothing here that is true to Fort Green Hall other than the actual building itself. If you look at some of the walls as you go round, it was built by numbers. The adze marks on the wood, you'll notice, particularly over the arch there, they actually joined it together and then lifted the walls up job lot. So you'll see different numbers as you go through, which tell them which rooms they were. But other than that, none of the furniture belongs here. It's all been put in. It was brought in from a number of sources. The fireplaces came from Alton Towers, for example. The panelling that you see in the parlour that have got the symbols on, that came from another house that was being demolished. So it's all come and been collected over the years by people in the council.
I want you to take particular note of the carvings in the wood there.
Yes.
I'm not sure if there's a pentagon in there.
The pentagram, yes.
Yeah, they're sort of like turned the other way around, which I don't know if that should be or not.
They were on the panelling when it was brought here from the house it was in originally. It has no relevance to the Fords or the Ford family. And I lived here for a long, long time as custodian of this house. And the only presents that we ever felt were good ones, that we never had any negative energy, we never had any bad vibes, and the people that I got to know were absolutely wonderful, so I've got to say that.
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it the...
It is the opposite way around,
it's
absolutely.
a bit sinister?
Well, it is, but from wherever it came from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense.
You've got to remember that the religious times that this house has been through, we had the persecution of the Protestants, we had the persecution of the Catholics, you mentioned the Civil War, and it is well documented that somebody came here that was a royalist and stayed in the house. I don't know whether Ted will remember that, but you know, it's gone through so many years. You've got a house that's 450 years old, it's gone through all this trauma, and the people living here would have gone through that same trauma as well. So although you do get these things like the panelling, that came from another house where obviously they had this religious upheaval and felt it. The Fords became Quakers.
I have
as
known
well.
things come with things.
Absolutely, and they can bring their own energy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and also there's like things imprinted in there as well, you know,
Yes.
like videos that
Yes.
display themselves.
Yes,
I mean, you look at the
memories.
floor,
The memories.
everyone that's in the laptop
We're getting draft. Come round this way, come round this way.
No, none of it is.
What a shame.
No, just the beams, the walls,
Right.
and the ceilings.
Okay.
Should we take the forward back this? Right.